Hi, my name is Joshua Bennett, Product Manager at Tide, and I'm here today to explain to you how the Electroflo WC flush control unit works and how you may need to troubleshoot if you have any issues on site. First of all, it's important to understand how the Electroflo WC unit works. The control unit itself, in combination with the infrared sensor, takes over the normal operation that we have with our manually operated flush buttons. The way in which it works is you wave your hand in front of the sensor to get a full flush, or you hold your hand in front to get a reduced flush. When you wave your hand in front of the sensor, you'll get a blue LED, and when you hold your hand in front of the sensor, you'll get a green LED. After the flush cycle is complete, you'll get a red LED as shown here, and that will be a fixed 30 seconds to allow for the system to refill approximately. Moving on to troubleshooting, it's important to check, is it actually one of our products you're trying to fix? You can see from the control box it does say Dudley on the product, and if there's a green pneumatic flush valve inside with TD on the cap, that is one of our products. If you're getting activations without a hand being held in front of the sensor or waved past the sensor, and you're getting illumination of blue or green from the sensor, first of all, is there any false activation that might be happening? That could be caused by artificial light, sunlight, or a faulty infrared sensor. If the lens is cracked, that could also cause fault activation. If you're waving your hand past the sensor or holding in front of the sensor and you're getting no illumination, blue, green, or red, then the next thing to check is the power supply. If it's mains powered, is the mains supply on? Is the fuse spur connection correct? Is it correctly fitted into the control box? If it's battery powered, it's useful to know that the battery life is around 6 months in commercial applications. Make sure the batteries are correctly orientated inside the control box, and ensure that you use lithium-ion batteries, branded lithium-ion batteries preferably, as they give the longest life. If you've checked the power supply and everything is correct, the next check is to ensure that your plug connector is correctly seated into the sensor connector, pushed fully home and correctly orientated. This is a common issue we see on sites where they've been incorrectly fitted. If you've done all those checks, the power supply is correct, the plug connections are correct and pushed fully home, and you're still not getting any illumination, that is likely the sensor at fault or possibly the control box at fault, and we recommend replacing both. Another thing to check is, are the pneumatic tubes correctly orientated? So the clear tube from the full flush bellow to the clear tube on the control box, and the green tube, the reduced flush bellow, connected to the green spigot connector on the control box. Sometimes we find people have orientated the tubes the wrong way around, so that when you ask for a full flush, it gives you a reduced flush and vice versa. If you're removing the flush valve in any way, or removing the pneumatic tubes from either end on the control box or on the flush valve spigots, it's important to provide fresh connections to those spigot connections, as they can age on over time. All you need to do is cut 1 centimetre off the tube at each end to provide a fresh connection. If your Electroflo unit, when activating a full or reduced flush, is only letting a small amount of water by, it's also worth checking the flush bellows on the flush valve. So when you wave your hand in front of the sensor, it should fully inflate to activate a full flush and allow the flush cycle to complete. If it only slightly inflates, that could be a problem with the flush valve. If the bellow is not torn in any way, you're not getting any leaks, it might be just unseated, and you can simply push that down firmly into place to allow it to reseat back in place, and then try a flush cycle again, and it should now fully inflate. If it doesn't fully inflate and you've done that check, there are some other checks you can do within the control box to govern the amount of air being outputted by the control box, and we'll move on to that shortly. If you're having problems with your cistern not flushing the full amount of water from the cistern on a full flush cycle when you wave your hand past the sensor, and you've checked the flush valve performance and you've checked all connections inside the cistern, it's then worth looking at the control box. So to access the control box, remove that from the panel in which it's mounted, and then with the control box here, you'll unscrew 2 Phillips screwdrivers to get inside the control box. Now, with the control box cover off, you can access the dip switches. These dip switches control how much air output is generated by the pumps to the flush valve. Dip switch 1 and 2 control the full flush bellow, and dip switch 3 and 4 control the reduced flush bellow. If you switch up on 2, That will increase the air output by 0.3 seconds. It is advisable sometimes to use the single flush operation instead of dual flush operation on the Electroflo control box. This is particularly advantageous in commercial applications. And to do this, you simply pull the jump switch off and move over to the single flush jump switch. Depending on the specification of your product, it might have already been set as single flush. And the easy way to tell is if you wave your hand past the sensor, you get a blue LED illumination. But if you hold your hand over the sensor, it'll stay blue as well. In dual flush, as we explained earlier, you wave your hand past the sensor, give you a full flush, hold your hand in front of the sensor, give you a reduced flush and a green LED. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did find it useful and you have any more questions, please put a comment in the comments section. Otherwise, do subscribe as we load more videos in the future.